All right, have you ever just stopped and wondered why smart, rational people trying to do the best for themselves, so often end up in a situation that's, well, worse for everyone? It happens all the time. Today, we're going to unpack one of the most powerful ideas in all of social science that explains exactly that. It's called the prisoner's dilemma. And let me tell you, it's a simple story, but it's got this incredibly powerful and sometimes kind of uncomfortable lesson about how we all operate.
So let's just dive right into the heart of this mystery. I mean, you and I, we all try to make smart choices, right? We weigh the pros and cons. So how is it that our societies, our businesses, even our own relationships can get stuck in these situations where nobody really wins? It feels like a total paradox, doesn't it? Well, guess what? We're about to unravel it. Okay, so the real problem, the core of it, is what you could call a paradox of rationality. It's this really strange idea that if every single person in a group does what's logically best for them, the whole group can end up in a place that is objectively terrible, a place that literally nobody wanted to be. Now, to really get our heads around this trap, we need a story. And luckily, there's a classic thought experiment that gives this whole dilemma its name. It's all about two criminal suspects, and it's just a perfect illustration of how this kind of ruthless logic really works.
Okay, so picture this. You and a partner in crime, you've both been arrested. The cops immediately separate you. No communication. Nada. Then they come to you with a deal, and you know for a fact your partner is getting the exact same offer. Here's how it goes down. If you betray your partner, we'll call that defecting, and they stay quiet, you walk. You're free. But if you both stay silent, if you cooperate with each other, you both get a really light sentence, just 1 year. But here's the kicker. If you both betray each other, you both get 5 years. So, what do you do?
All right, let's just walk through the cold, hard logic here, purely from your perspective. Scenario 1. Let's say your partner stays silent. What's your best move? It's to betray them, right? I mean, 0 years is way better than 1 year. Easy choice. Now, scenario 2. What if your partner betrays you? What's your best move now? Well, it's still to betray them, because 5 years is a whole lot better than the 10 years you'd get for being the sucker who stayed quiet.
And there it is. That's the trap, you see? No matter what your partner does, your single most rational choice is always to betray. And here's the thing, your partner is just as smart and rational as you are, so they're running the exact same calculation in their head. The result? You both betray. You both get 5 years in prison, even though you both knew there was a way to only get 1 year. All it would have taken was a little trust.
So this inescapable, kind of terrible outcome where everyone makes the smart choice and everyone ends up worse off, well, it has a formal name in game theory, and it's called a Nash equilibrium. A lot of the time, you'll see this whole thing laid out in what's called a payoff matrix. Just think of the numbers as points. The higher, the better. So look at the top left. If you both cooperate, you both get a great score. 9 points each. Awesome. But that temptation to defect and get that perfect 10 is always lurking. And more importantly, the fear of getting 0, the ultimate sucker's payoff, logically pushes both of you down to that bottom right corner, mutual defection, where you both end up with a pretty mediocre score of 5. So what is a Nash equilibrium? Well, it's just a situation where you can't make things better for yourself by changing your strategy on your own. Think about it. If you're both betraying and you decide, you know what, I'm going to cooperate now, you don't get a better result. You get a worse one. You're stuck. You're locked in. That's why it's called an equilibrium. It's stable. But man, it is definitely not optimal. And this incredibly powerful concept, it was all formalized by the brilliant mathematician John Nash. I mean, his work basically gave us a whole new language, a mathematical language to understand why perfectly rational people can get stuck in these terrible situations. It was a massive contribution, got him a Nobel Prize, and it totally changed fields like economics and the social sciences. Okay, so you might be thinking, that's a clever story, but it's just a game. Well, no. This isn't just some abstract thought experiment. The logic of the prisoner's dilemma, it shows up everywhere, and I mean in some of the most high-stakes situations imaginable. Just think about it. The Cold War arms race? That's a classic prisoner's dilemma. Both sides would be safer with fewer nukes, but the fear of the other guy having an edge, it forces them both to keep building. Or think smaller, 2 gas stations on opposite corners. They'd both make more money if they kept their prices high, right? But each one is tempted to slash prices just a little to steal all the customers. This exact same logic is at play in things like international climate agreements and even something as basic as academic dishonesty. So, I know what you're thinking. This sounds pretty bleak, right? Like, we just found a mathematical proof that we're all doomed to betray each other. But
What if the game isn't just a one-time thing? What if you have to face that same person again tomorrow, and the day after that? Because that one simple change, it completely transforms the entire dilemma.
You know, back in the 1980s, a political scientist named Robert Axelrod did something really cool. He set up this massive computer tournament. He invited experts from all over the world to submit their best strategies as computer programs to play the prisoner's dilemma over and over again. He wanted to find out once and for all what's the best long-term strategy. And you know what? The winner wasn't some super complex, cutthroat algorithm. It was actually one of the simplest ones submitted.
And that winning strategy, it was called tit for tat. And it gives us this incredibly powerful and frankly optimistic lesson about how cooperation can actually bubble up and succeed even when everyone is just looking out for number one.
So what is this revolutionary strategy? It's so simple, it's almost funny. Here it is. Rule 1, cooperate on the first move. Just start out by being nice. Extend that trust. Rule 2, after that, you just copy whatever your opponent did on their last turn. That's it. They cooperated with you, you cooperate back. They betrayed you, you betray them right back on the next turn. Now, when Axelrod dug into the results, he realized that all the most successful strategies, not just tit for tat, shared 4 key qualities. First, they were nice. They never threw the first punch, they never defected first. Second, they were retaliatory. You couldn't push them around. If you defected, they'd punish you immediately. Third, they were forgiving. They didn't hold a grudge. As soon as you started cooperating again, so would they. And finally, they were clear. They were easy to understand, not some tricky, unpredictable mess. This clarity is what allows the other player to learn the rules and build trust.
And this is the big takeaway, the whole point. When you know you're going to have to deal with that person again and again, when there's what game theorists call the shadow of the future, the entire game flips on its head. Suddenly, your reputation for being trustworthy becomes your single most valuable asset. Cooperation isn't just some nice, fuzzy idea anymore. It becomes the most rational, the most competitive, the most successful long-term strategy.
So, I want to leave you with a thought. Just think about the key relationships in your own life, at work, with your family, in your community. What are the unspoken rules that enforce cooperation? Are they built on reciprocity and forgiveness, like tit for tat? Or are they built on the constant threat of a one-time betrayal? The prisoner's dilemma doesn't just explain a game. It shows us that figuring out that difference, well, that's the whole secret to building real trust and creating better outcomes for all of us. Thanks for digging into this with me.